Hiya, it's Bob here. Welcome to the HIGHERWAY Code, the podcast that promises you lots but delivers just me. Today, one of my guests is going to be Rick Dubidat, who runs a really successful martial arts academy not too far from me in another part of the West Midlands. I've known Rick for a number of years now. We've got an awful lot in common, but he's got a lot of stuff he might be able to share with you guys. About running a gym, maybe even some personal stuff about his life, how he got into the martial arts. But let's introduce Rick anyway and stop me talking. Rick, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Bob.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure. I was saying I've known you a number of years. I've known you, it's got to be 9 or 10. I don't know. I'm terrible with time. I've known you it feels like I've known you about 40 years, although you're not that old. So how long have we known each other, mate? 10 years, something like that?
About 9-10 years, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's got to be. And of course, we met each other through martial arts, yeah. And when I met you, you had your gym, obviously, and it was pretty successful then anyway, up in West Brom, where you've still got it, I believe. But you've expanded since then, haven't you?
Yeah. We've got I've got 3 full-time academies, and then more recently, before COVID, we started with the franchise model. So,
oh right, okay.
2 franchises. So yeah, it's the martial arts side of my business is it was still doing well, considering, but it was booming. So yeah, just trying to take over the world, basically.
Take over the world, like the invasion. Yeah. No, but it's suddenly. I'm not saying it's suddenly happened, because you can't give the impression these things happen overnight. They take a lot of work, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, people might look at you and go, "Oh, he's done all right for himself. He's lucky."
Yeah, I wish. I mean, like, we're talking, how long have I been teaching? I've been teaching for, geez, it's coming up to about 18 years, I think.
Right. So, and this is my point, you see. People, you've got a lot of people who are like fly-by-night sort of muck dojos, right? And we don't, because you're talking about franchise and you're talking about lots of academies. What I don't want to do is give people the impression that you're one of those muck dojos, because you're not one of those blokes who've just come along, just recently. You've been in the game a long time, nearly 20 years. But before that, you were also successful yourself as a martial artist on the competitive circuit. So you haven't just suddenly appeared, have you? When did you start? How did that all start, Rick?
Okay, so started, I've always kind of been involved in combat sports in one way, shape or another.
Right.
My dad was like a very amateur boxer.
Right.
He was obsessed with boxing. So from a young age, all I remember was my uncles telling me how good he was at boxing and all this kind of thing. The usual stuff.
Yeah.
All the exaggerated stuff. and then him teaching me bits. And my cousin, my dad's cousin, actually owned a traditional karate school somewhere.
Oh, right. Okay.
I couldn't tell you exactly where it was, to be honest.
No.
I remember getting, learning boxing with my dad, hating it at that age, by the way. Then I remember getting dragged to traditional karate. I don't even know what style. It might have been Shotokan or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't grade or anything. And I remember getting dragged there every so often. And the only thing I remember from those classes was we used to have a break, and then we used to get a little white cup with orange AD in. That's all I look forward to.
Really? So
that's all I look forward to. So
at least you're honest. At least you're honest. And that's all you still look forward to now, isn't it, really?
Martial arts for orange AD, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, orange AD is the word to pay me. But yeah, so that's where it kind of started. And then I had a gap, and then I did judo at high school with Benziah White when I first started high school. So I was in 12. Did that for about a year, just in school. So it was kind of PE, and there was an after-school club or something like that with Benziah White. And I only found out a few years recently that Benziah White, speak to somebody else, was something to do with the Olympic judo team.
Right. Okay. So the coach you had, probably one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I didn't know.
No.
You know what I mean? but I was quite young, so that was that. And then again, I stopped that because there was a competition at a local school in West Bromwich, and
Right.
and he said, "Oh, the usual. You're really, really good. There's all instructors do to beginners. You should compete." And I wanted to compete.
Hmm.
I didn't really have any concept of what competing was.
Right.
My parents, and typical overprotective Jamaican parents was like, "No, you're not competing. Get
Oh.
your work done." That was it. And I threw a tantrum, and then that's when they stopped me doing it. So I didn't do it anymore. Then when it stopped in the PE lessons, that was that. So I had a couple of years off, and then I started kickboxing. I saw an advert in a local paper for American kickboxing with Don the Dragon Wilson, I think it was.
Right. Yeah. 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 I remember Don. I remember the name Don Wilson. I've never met him because obviously he was in the US, but he was a huge name, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. So he was on the advert in the paper, and then it was the PKA kickboxing.
Oh my God! Yeah, PKA. Wow. Yeah, that's Bill Wallace's lot as well. Bill Wallace used to fight on that circuit, and Benny Urquidez.
Yeah, exactly.
These all names that none of these new people, these young people, are going to know. But these were like these were the long before kickboxing became a sport. The PKA was the thing, wasn't it?
It was. So I started training with the instructor was Malcolm Swan, and it was crazy because then I didn't know what I was doing. I was turning up, training. Two of my friends started with me.
Yeah.
We were doing low kick and stuff then.
Right.
So like looking back now, I realised it was pretty much close to K1.
Yeah, yeah.
Because within the PK at the time, I found out as I was training, there were different clubs taught different style of kickboxing.
Hmm.
So you could pay for the week, and then you could go to any of the other clubs and train as well. So I remember going to another club. So I've been training like jab, cross, relay, ground kick to the leg or whatever. I went there, and they were a points fighting school. I had no concept of what this tip tap stop start.
Yeah.
So basically, the instructor gave me a bollocking
because you kicked somebody's legs out.
Yeah, it was just stupid. It was just ridiculous. I had no concept of it whatsoever. It was confusing. So I went there for a little bit and still trained at my normal club, and then just progressed from there. Really, I moved to. I went to a competition later on after jumping from club to club. And then the Winspers, who are pretty well known in kickboxing, they said, well, basically, you should come along and train. And that's where the proper like competitions and stuff.
Right.
I was about 17 then, I think.
Okay.
And it was like turn up training, get my ass handed to me every week, maybe 3-4 times a week, just thrown into competitions at the deep end, losing for a long time, like competing probably twice a month, just getting battered, going all over the country, losing stuff. And then I started winning, and winning like titles and stuff. And then it just carried on progressing and representing England. So I represented England quite a few times. Started cross training. And then got my world title. So with the WPK, they flew me to Athens in 2000. And I fought for my world title then against the current world champion then. Fought, the crowd booing me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Won and come back a world champion. And I remember being in the airport, I had my title belt with another guy called Rob Taylor, who fought on the same bill, and he lost, unfortunately. And I was like, how the hell did this happen? Turn up, get beat up every single week, go to competitions in sports halls all around the country. Then I'm here, how does this happen? So it was a bit surreal, but it was good for my confidence because I was quiet.
Well, I was going to say that because a lot of people, when you talk to them about their fight career, they don't talk about losing at all. They never mention it because there's very few people have a sudden, just become world champions. People don't talk about the hard work that went into it. I had a fighter, he had 30 fights before he won his first fight. And the thing that kept him going, it was because lots of people would leave. You know yourself, there must have been guys in your class had fought and then they'd lose a couple of times, they'd never come back. But you had that sort of staying power, that stamina to go, I'm going to, at some point, I'm going to win this. And Jason was the same. Jason actually said to me, and you'll probably recognize this in yourself. He actually said to me, he said, well, I've got to win sometime. He just kept going, and he did, and he won his fight, But you kept going, obviously, after that as well. So in a sense, what you say, it's built to a certain extent. That's your character, isn't it? To just keep going, no matter what.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The reason why I kept going wasn't, I didn't care about winning, believe it or not.
No, that's a good philosophy, I think.
Yeah, I didn't care about winning because I was okay. So I was always one of those kids when I grew up that I got on with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still think I'm kind of that kind of person anyway.
Yeah.
I do think people like misjudge me when they look at me or whatever, and then they get it completely wrong because I'm quite laid back. I think I'm quite chill.
Yeah, you are.
And then that's how I was at school and everything. So for me, the confidence that it gave me training in martial arts, the fact that I actually could turn up again and get battered. When I say battered, I'm not on about just like a little bruise or anything.
No.
Several times I've got knocked out cold in class. And I mean, things like my parents had to come pick me up several times and I had a bollocking on the way back, taken to hospital a couple of times. Just the usual things. I snapped both my Achilles tendons, one fighting and one in training, which is why I walk with a slight limp now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I've had everything, man. Dislocated feet. I've knocked out everything. So there were hard sessions and there were big characters as well, man. They were just, everybody else seemed to be super confident. And then there was me.
You see, because obviously you have a certain level of confidence without a shadow of a doubt, and that comes across, but it's not overbearing, which is when I first met you. That's what I liked about you, because as you can imagine, over the years, I've had my fair share of egos, you know what I mean? People are going to do this, do that, and all of that. And it's all talk, but you really didn't say much other than you'd like to do some lessons with me. But this podcast's not about me, obviously, but I just want to say, when I first met you, you just came across a really nice, quiet guy, quite self-effacing, had his own gym, and was quite keen, you know, to be as successful as you could. But there was no arrogance about it.
Thank you.
No, it still comes across, because the surprise in your voice when you said, "Oh, thanks for letting me on." Yeah, it's like, I'm not letting you on. I want you on, because I think it's important to share. And I was talking to a few guys about this on different podcasts and generally, that the bulk of martial artists now, all they want to do is get the certificates as quickly as possible, get in there, get their gym opened, create a franchise, and it literally is like overnight. And you go, and then of course it's a hollow victory because eventually people see through it, but it takes time. By then they've made the money, basically.
You know what?
Whereas yours is not that story.
I'll tell you where I came from with this, because I wanted to be the complete opposite of all what I considered the shit in the industry, without being disrespectful to other schools or anything.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to have substance, and the thing was, like, with all those guys that's like mega confident, and the guys that helped me to build my confidence by beating the crap out of me week.
Yeah, they've helped you, haven't they?
I wanted to have their confidence, but come across in a different way. It's also different, you know what I mean? But this is why, like, I got my black belt in kickboxing, and then I actually got my belt after my title.
All right.
I was fighting in, because it had different categories and stuff, and I was in the colour belts categories, because it was a brown belt. It was up to brown belt, because then they didn't really do gradings.
Right. Okay.
Literally, my instructor would come in, just throw a belt at me. Says, "Good job."
That's what you're wearing. Yeah.
I've been like a green belt for 2.5 years, so it's a long time to get from white to black belt. But then what happened was I was fighting the black belt category, and I was winning the black belt category. That's how I got scouted for the WPKs.
Right. Okay.
They thought I was a black belt because I'd been winning in the black belt category against Nate Clifton, Finley, all these kind of people. I'd like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I took my black belt, and I was like, "Is this it?" I was like, "I've got a black belt. I can't fly. I can't disappear in smoke.
No.
I'll do a ninja death touch.
Yeah.
I'm still turning up to train and get my arse handed to me. So is this it?" And then, because of the age that I was, I didn't have responsibilities, didn't have kids, wasn't married, etc., etc. And I just went crazy cross training. I wanted to know everything about flipping everything, every single art that I could get my hands on. I wanted to train it, but train it with decent people, which is one of the reasons why I contacted you. But
I was going to say, why did you contact me? Right.
so that's why. But this is another thing, like I don't like saying, because of the way that everything's turned in the martial arts. When people say like, "Oh, what grade are you?" I don't like going into what grades I've got in the different arts. Because it sounds like bullshit, doesn't it? But I've been training for a very, very long time and a lot of hard training with some very, very world-class people.
Yeah.
So I went crazy, just cross-training and doing all that kind of thing. So when I opened my first school, which was like a church hall, then I went to schools. Then I bit the bullet and opened my first full-time school. And I'm still working full-time as an IT manager because I've been to uni to do all computer sciences and everything.
So that was your career path, was IT, to become an IT manager and then work your way through that. Yeah.
So I was doing both at the same time. But then I always thought, okay, I don't want the label of being a kickboxer or one thing. I've always wanted to have a martial arts school because of what the martial arts brings, because there's no one art that is better than the others. There are some that are shitter than the others, but
to be honest, and I know you agree with me on this, it's the person running it. That's what drives it.
It really is. Because I wanted to be a martial arts school. And another thing was like, I didn't really, Thai boxing is the only thing that I've trained in that I haven't fought in. And it bugs me in the back of my head. I've done like, I fought in a ring with low kick. That's different.
Yeah.
That's Thai boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've done that, but nothing at any scale. But everything else I fought MMA, I fought jiu-jitsu, I fought no-gi, I fought wrestling. I've done boxing bouts, loads of kickboxing.
Yeah, you're too old to do Muay Thai now, mate. Just admit it.
I'm not even thinking about it. There's no
no.
But yeah, so I wanted to be a martial art academy. So that's what I've kind of, the ethos I've put across. And
yeah,
then
because what's coming across at the moment, right, is that, and this is the important point, I'm glad you've mentioned it, it's a martial arts school. So it's not just kickboxing and a bit of Thai boxing or whatever. It's like quite seriously, well, you're quite serious about your Jeet Kune Do, you stick a knife, you have specific skill sets for specific classes, don't you?
Yeah, they're separate. What I won't do is cross over the arts. Because we've got a duty of care to kind of fan them down to the next generation as they're supposed to be. Otherwise, you'll get, like, in 10 years' time, you're going to get instructors teaching, like, back fist reverse punches, saying it's, like, Thai boxing. Like, well, I was like, nah, I can't do that because, so my school, it makes things complicated. It makes it harder to build up instructors for different things.
Yeah.
Nobody can have the full skill set because it's a different mindset nowadays. But separate everything out. So if somebody joins, I'm like, okay, is it kickboxing you want? So if they want more fitness type things and they're not that serious about it,
yeah,
it's kickboxing because it's easier for people to assimilate to that and jump in and be okay with the whole culture of our kickboxing classes.
Yeah.
The Thai boxing is different. And then the JKD and the Kali and everything's different. And we have separate black belt classes. And when you get a black belt or high grade or whatever in any of the arts, you've got to train in all of this stuff. No options. There's no just like, oh, I'm just this. It's like, no, you got a black belt anyway, so you better be able to handle yourself in every single area. So that's what we put across, and it makes it harder, but it also adds a little bit of integrity. So I'm proud of every one of my students that's got a black belt, what they've gone through to get that belt and the skill set that they bring. I'm not saying they're all world class and everything. Yeah. Like you said before, it's down to the individual. But their mindset and understanding, a lot of them, I can pull out some 14, 15-year-olds that have got a deeper and stronger knowledge and understanding of martial arts than some school owners out there.
Yeah.
And that humble thing as well. It's like, I don't care what grade you are, you ain't shit. You constantly got to prove yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, do what you're doing, help people, better the art, better yourself, constant improvement daily. And then other people praise you. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to say I'm the big I am. So that's the ethos of my schools.
I think that comes across anyway because I've trained your students and they're a really nice bunch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'd be proud to have them in my classes because my ethos is the same. It's a family first, and then it's a group. And the guys are always very respectful of each other. Nobody goes out of the way. There's no egos in the class, and it's quite rare to see that. You know what I mean?
It is very, very rare.
Yeah.
Like we don't allow it. We don't. So even when somebody comes in and they say, "I've done this, I've done that," I'm like, cool. It doesn't matter. Step by step, train, enjoy yourself, and show it. Because talk's cheap, isn't it?
Oh, action speaks louder than words every time. And a number of people, you've had it and I've had it and many other, you know, instructors have had it. You get the people coming in and say, I want to be a world champion. I want to do this. I'm going to fight on all of your shows. And you know for a fact, those are the ones that probably won't turn up after about 4 or 5 weeks.
So true. And then you get the other students that come in and they've got confidence issues, self-hate.
Oh, yeah.
There's all these kind of issues that we've had, and they end up like doing the sessions, struggling. They've got personal problems. They end up competing, doing a little competition, just snowballs. And then I've got kids that like have represented England, I don't even know how many times. They've been to like Croatia, Germany, Italy, like, you know what I mean, representing England and everything. And we've done that like every single year. And every year I've created at least 2. I know the term world champion, different levels, but I don't have my guys competing in like really, really low level where they turn up and it's just them and somebody else in the final.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In decent level competitions. So I've created at least 2 world champions every year for over a decade. Which is cool. So it's there. So like we're definitely not. Nobody could say we're a dojo or anything like that. I'll just say, you know what? Come down and see what we do. Come down and see what we do. Speak to the students. Speak to the parents. Watch our guys compete. Look where we compete. Look at our skill set, and then you tell me what kind of school we are. So I've got so much confidence in what we do.
Well, it's what I say. Action speaks louder than words, doesn't it? Don't listen to what I'm saying. Look at what we've achieved. And you can see that when you go in your gym anyway, because you've got all the stuff on the walls where people can see what the people. And it's not just that, actually. It's the attitude of the students when they come on the mat. And I know that I'll come down to your gym and there'll be 5 or 6 of the kids will come up and go, "Oh, hiya, Bob, how you do?" You know what I mean? It's like they're really respectful, but they're a good bunch of people, like. And you know, and so the guys at the adults are the same. "Oh, hiya, Bob, how you doing?" You know. And it's just a nice atmosphere, you know, and nobody takes themselves too seriously, but they take the training seriously. And there's a big difference, isn't there? You know, I've seen people, you know, they take themselves far too seriously. We all know 1 or 2 people like that, you know, they take the big I ams, and it's like a beautiful wine bottle, you know, those Spanish wine bottles with all the fancy stuff on the outside. And then you take a drink and you go, "Oh my God, that's horrible." It looks good, but it tastes bloody awful. Yeah. And we've all, well, the martial arts industry is littered with those people.
It is. It really is. And it's
sad, you know.
I mean, that's why like with, you know, I do like the business coaching and stuff as well. Like for schools and stuff. And I actually won't take everybody as a client, which if they don't fit, don't have to jump through hoops and stuff. But I mean, if they don't fit an ethos that I agree with, I'm not going to coach them to get them another 100 members and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen because it doesn't sit right with me.
So what you're saying is, yes, you're running a business, but it's based on ethical principles.
It has to be. It has to be, otherwise it doesn't work. These are people.
But a lot of people don't do that. They just they basically want to get bums on seats, get people in and sell them memberships and T-shirts and shorts and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Like, for me, this isn't like, it's about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is about that for me. But it's changing people's lives. I take this like really seriously. I mean, like when people come into our schools and they have whatever issue, I've usually got some kind of story or somebody else that's gone through something that they say that the martial arts that in training with us has helped them because of whatever reason. And I still can never pinpoint exactly what that is. But this is about, I'm in the business of changing people's lives. I'm not in the martial art business. I'm not in the kickboxing, boxing. I'm in the business of changing people's lives.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I might as well be a fitness coach or something. It's just moving the body and getting a sweat on. This isn't fitness for me. That's a part of what we do. The arts is like, it's like mind, body, and soul. It's not just body, body, body. And I think that's where the kind of the industry's taking a turn.
Well, that, to be honest, the character building, what they used to call character building in karate back in the day. There's a book written by Funakoshi Gishin, who's like the father of modern karate, Shotokan essentially. And he wrote a book called Karate Do Kyohan. And it's a book that's got lots of katas in it, don't get me wrong, and lots of technique. But there's a huge section of the book which is all about character building, how karate was about, you know, not just building the body, but actually having a body-mind connection, that balance, to find the balance. And that, I think, existed when I did karate. It was all about good character. The instructor didn't just, he was very picky about who would train. And if you didn't work hard, you couldn't grade, you couldn't train. You know, you might as well go somewhere else. Go to the boxing club down the street, or go for a run instead. And it was hard. You know, it was difficult. And I think treading that fine line between running a school like that and making a living out of it. You see, because I agree with, there's nothing wrong with making a living out of martial arts. None at all. I mean, they were doing it back in the day in Okinawa when, you know, Miyagi and Mabuni, Kenwa Mabuni would teach somebody. He would teach somebody and they would do the garden for him. You know what I mean? Or, you know, you go, well, yeah, you can have a lesson. What are you going to give me? Well, I'm a roofer. I can fix your roof for you. Brilliant. I'll give you some lessons. So it's always happened. You know, it's always been there. And the people have got this bizarre idea. Some people have got this bizarre idea that you shouldn't charge anything for the martial arts. It should be something you give. Well, that never has happened. It never happened in the past. It doesn't happen now. And to be honest, if people want to come and train in a nice environment with a nice group of people, I'm sorry, in any other industry, you would have to pay for that. And the amount of time instructors put in, and somebody said this to me years and years ago, they said, because they were going on about how little I charged at the time. And I said, well, I just enjoy doing it. And they go, yeah, hang on a minute though. If you were a solicitor with 35 years experience, how much would you be charging? And it's sort of like, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you've worked for 35 years to get to where you are, and you're going to give it away. And they're going to get it, because I've always paid for it. Yeah. You always paid for your lessons. Yeah. The money I spent traveling to Thailand and training with all these different, thousands of pounds, and the time, all the time, that's more important as well, isn't it? Yes. And it's when you were talking about, you know, people might go, oh yeah, Rick, yeah, oh, meteoric rise. Hang on a minute, he fucking fought for years. He was getting his ass kicked every week, week in, week out, and he kept coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. Yes. Now, if that's not something you can offer someone, because people are going to come to the gym and they're going to think of you as some, you know, oh, it's like, just he was born like this. You go, no, I was just like you, son. You know, I was in here, I was getting my ass kicked, I was going home crying, you know, night after night, but I just got up and went, no, I'm gonna do this.
I mean, that's important. Yeah, the financial like my teenage years, right? I went out with my friends and stuff and did the usual stuff.
Yeah.
Training was a priority for me. So when my friends were going and doing different things and going on their first lads holiday and everything, going to Newcastle or wherever they went, I didn't, because I had a competition that weekend or had training, and it was training. It's like uni,
yeah,
training, and then working nights at Sainsbury's.
Yeah,
I mean, that was it. That was my life, and like, you know what I mean, fitting my friends in around that. So there's that sacrifice. Then it was like finding money to pay for the training and get around, because my parents didn't pay me around. I had to do it myself. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've been working. I've only been unemployed 2 weeks since I was 14. You know what I mean? So that's like, so that I funded all my training and stuff, and all my money went into training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I still prioritize my self-development over everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the more I know, the more I grow. Sounds cheesy, but it's true.
No, but it is true. Absolutely true. I mean, you never, the day you stop learning stuff is the day you, well, to be honest, you see people like that, don't you? You meet them, my generation, certainly, I meet them and talk to them, and their lives are just hollow. And I say, so what are you up to today? And they'll go, I don't know, I'm retired now. I'll probably do the garden. I wish and you hear, what's the word you always hear, Rick? I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done this. Well, you still can, actually.
Exactly.
And I mean, this COVID thing, It's been, to me, it's like, this is like, I've just been given one of the most precious commodities I could ever have, which is time. I didn't have it before because I was doing lots of different things, you know, which I love doing, don't get me wrong, and I want to go back to doing them. But this has been like, hang on a minute. Yeah, I haven't got any money, but hey, I've got time. I've got so much time, and I've been absorbing books and reading and learning and setting up podcasts, and you're doing the same sort of thing with this opportunity, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, like with the first week when we closed, I panicked. I really, really panicked because I just didn't know. Just like everybody, I didn't know what was going to happen. So
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to go like that. I didn't think we'd have to actually close the gym down. So we closed, and I panicked. And then for a couple of weeks, I was just kind of scrambling to try and find my feet to see what I was supposed to be doing. And at the same time, there was a lot of pressure the first 2 weeks because I was trying to keep my own business afloat.
Yeah.
Kind of working. Then I got 11 coaching clients that I help with their business, and I have done.
Oh yeah.
And they've been quite successful. They're doing really well. So I've got those guys contacting me daily as if I know what to do, as if I've gone through a pandemic before. So I had that pressure. Then the pressure of like students, everything that came with it, and I panicked for 2 weeks. I seriously panicked. But then I took a step back. I was like, hold on, I'm not the only person going through this. It's the whole country. And instead of trying to find out what I should do and asking questions, well, nobody's going to give me an answer.
No.
It was like, what could I do? I was like, you know what? I could give myself a kick up the backside, and instead of like just being a victim of it, which I've never been, I'm not a victim, never. I'd rather die first. Sounds a bit harsh, but it's true. I was like, okay, then I'm going to make sure I come out of this stronger. So while everybody else is online bitching and moaning and debating shit,
yeah, yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bother. You can check on my Facebook. I don't get into debates and stuff. It's a waste of time. As if I'm going to say my viewpoint, or someone's going to go, actually, you're exactly right. I'm wrong. My apologies. It doesn't. so I don't bother with that stuff. I looked at what I could do. So it was like self-development. I've done about 3 courses, still doing another one. I progressed another business, which my print business, which I had everything I needed to do there,
right.
But I kind of played at it. Now it's a proper structured limited company with like literally print anything now.
Yeah.
Up and running, websites running, all that kind of stuff. That would never have happened if it wasn't for COVID. I've got extra qualifications to do with coaching and mentoring. There's a lot of self-reflection. I've changed the business round. Still manage. I've got like 14 members of staff. I managed to keep all of them. All of them except one who just disappeared.
Oh.
So also I don't know what happened with her. But apart from everybody else, I managed to keep them employed. Just pivoted the business like most people did, and did the online classes and stuff like yourself.
Yeah.
Provided so much more content and clarity for people. My members provided extra sessions, even quiz nights, which before you'd be like, well, why the hell am I going to do a quiz night? But it's about community, isn't it? Retention. Yeah. So whilst I wouldn't personally sit there doing a quiz night because I've got other things to do, it's not on my radar. One of my team, they do a quiz night every Friday night with the parents.
That's brilliant.
It's a distraction. We did things for the kids. We looked at the character development as well. So I managed to put some of the stuff I learned into the character development for the kids, talking about mental resilience, character development for the parents, about mental health for their children and themselves, and all these different things. So our members are happy. The ones that are left are happy because we lost probably about 50% of our members.
Yeah.
Either cancelled, quit, or put their memberships on hold or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a good time. So we're just constantly just pushing ourselves forward, and I was happy. The lockdown was a kick in the teeth to start off with, but if I'm probably the best thing that's ever happened.
But the resilience you had was no different to when you had your teeth kicked in when you started martial arts. Yeah. So it's the same thing, isn't it? It's like you go along at the competitions, not win. This is the same thing, isn't it? It's like, right, I've just been kicked down. I'll get up and do it again and keep going. And not many people have got that quality. A lot of people, as we know, just gave up, or go on Facebook and whinge about it, you know. And Facebook's a bizarre phenomenon. And like you say, people, what do you want people to do? Come on and go, oh, are you all right? Just get on with it, for God's sake. It's quite pathetic, especially martial artists, because you're supposed to be setting a standard for other people to follow. You're a role model. It's like, you know, you've been knocked down, I'll get up. This is what you do, guys. You just get up. That's what it's about.
Yeah, it's true. This is the thing. So I think sometimes in the martial art industry, we forget that we're leaders. When I look at and I still hold like all my instructors, yourself, and all my other instructors for the other arts, I hold them in high regard. And I get very, very pissed off if people aren't showing the respect they should to people like yourself and my other instructors and everything, and black belts. Because when I used to look at a black belt and instructor or a school owner, I was like, whoa,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That's them. And
I'm still the same with my old karate instructor, who I haven't seen for years. And I was talking about him the other day, and I said, oh yeah, my first karate instructor was Danny Shiganis. He's 87, I think he is now, and he's still teaching. And I'm like, what a bloke, you know. And there must be other people saying the same thing about him. And he just gets on with it. He's probably a doddery old git now, you know, hobbling around the gym. But he's still there. And I remember being 10 years old, being sent upstairs in the office, or 11-year-old, being sent upstairs to his office in the dojo. And it wasn't a full-time gym. He was a crane driver, I believe, in the daytime down the shipyards. But he had this little place he rented, which was his dojo above a chemist shop. And he sent me upstairs to the 3rd floor to get his black belt. And I got, and everybody was going, all my mates were, it was about 10 kids or something. And they were going, what was it like? What's it like to hold it? I mean, it was literally, it was like the Holy Grail. And that's how it was thought of. And I thought that was a great thing. And I remember getting my black belt back in the 70s, and it was like a huge deal. The belt had come from Japan. I've still got it. It came from Japan. It was silk, black silk on white. So when it wore out, you know, it looked amazing. And this beautiful certificate, all in Japanese. I couldn't read it, you know. All I could read was my name on it, you know. But it was like an amazing thing to have. But it was an anticlimax as well, because you go, no sparks, no lightning. I'm not, I can't suddenly, you know, exert chi on people, because it was built up to be such a big thing. But nevertheless, I still valued it.
oh yeah, definitely.
The person, and more importantly, the person who gave it to me. You know what I mean? Because I saw on that day at the grading, I saw like 20, 30 people fail. And I was like shitting myself, genuinely. I was, and they made me do the kata twice, you know. I was like, oh no, the same kata, oh, what have I done? And then you had to wait, you know, that painful wait, like. But that's all. I think a lot of that's gone now, because people, I'm not saying this happens at your club, but I know for a fact it happens in other clubs where people come along and they go, oh yeah, I'll get me grading. And I go, hang on a minute. You don't know that.
This is the thing. It's like every single time we have gradings, we have to kind of, or I have to, because the others are kind of still too timid to do it, correct the parents when they say to their kid, or they ask, oh, when is little Johnny going to get his belt? Well, get his belt.
Yeah.
When is he going to test for his belt? The testing date is this.
Yeah.
And every single grading, you know, the only grading that we didn't fail anybody in the past, probably the past 4 or 5 years. The only time that I haven't failed somebody in the grading is the last grading after COVID, because we had one mid-April.
Okay, yeah.
And that was because we'd lost so many.
Of course, yeah.
We did the grading to go ahead. We did it on Zoom, so it was hard to kind of be...
It's more difficult, isn't it? Yeah.
So that's the only time that we haven't failed anybody. Somebody fails, and it doesn't matter their age, 4-year-old, 40-year-old, I don't care. It's like, our school is set up to we're set up, we set students up for success. By that, I mean, we will tell you exactly what you need to do for your testing. We'll provide the classes that you need, and that all that's taught in the classes, the main classes, is what you need for your testing. They're supporting documentation, they support videos, there's a members only group. There's so much there to set you up for success. If you turn up to the grading and you can't do it, it's easy for us to fail, yeah. And there are no grey areas, none whatsoever.
No.
And because of that, we do our gradings at like the leisure centre. All the schools come together and do our gradings then.
So, so it's a collective. It's a so the other clubs all come together and you one big. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
So each group is compared against the other students and
Of
stuff.
course, yeah. That's a brilliant way of sort of going. Okay, are you any good?
Yeah.
You know, you're training at one of my other clubs, but you need to be as good as these guys at this. Yeah, which is why I set up a thing for the validation for instructors. You know, because I wanted people to see that whoever else I've graded as an instructor is actually good enough. You know.
And it works,
Yeah.
but every time we're grading, we do fail people, and we do it discreetly, and we have parents crying and going home.
Yeah.
So they go, they take their kid, and they leave. So they're not going through the whole rigmarole of sitting there and watching other students get round of applause, all that kind of stuff.
No.
Thoughts away. And our black belt gradings and stuff like that are 2 days of, it's a ritual. We have parents crying, we have kids crying, we have adults crying. And it's like I'm not watching it down for anybody because I can't. Don't get me wrong, it's not like nobody gets killed, but, and this might sound harsh to some people that are new to martial arts and stuff, but there's always blood and there's always tears. And there's a reason for that, because when they go for those 2 days of hell, when they finish and they get through it and they know that they've passed, to see a dad crying that's been stood at the back for 4 or 5 years watching their kid train, yeah? And then their 12, 13-year-old kid go through 2 days of hell, me shouting and screaming at them, the other fighters shouting and screaming, all the black belts have to be present with them. They have to spar with every single other black belt and do burpees in between and do a new person fresh round. It's horrible, all the curriculums, everything. For the parents to stand there, you can imagine how the parents are just worried and scared.
Oh, yeah.
When they see their kids coming through and getting through it, what kind of life lesson does that teach them?
Oh, it's a massive thing.
Massive thing. And that's why, like with our black belts and stuff, teenagers and everything, and the adults, their mindset's very, very different. There's no giving up. There's no give up attitude. There's no quitting and giving up is kind of frowned upon. Not achieving is kind of frowned upon. Like you don't have to like get A grades and all that stuff, but you have to kind of put the effort in. If you put the effort in, the result is fine. Doesn't matter as long as you put the effort in.
You just got to ask yourself, you know, what would you be doing now if you hadn't have done martial arts? You know what I mean?
For me,
Yeah. You would be a completely different person. That's what I'm saying.
I've no idea, because like everything that I do, everything that I deem as success for me, is because of martial arts. It's not literally, I'm my parents obviously, but nothing else. I don't know where I'd be, because I know some of my friends have all over the place. Prison.
I'm the same. I mean, but also with the martial arts as well, you've also managed to do other things like a degree, your IT. You know what I mean? It's like you're not just a martial artist, but the martial arts have been the foundation of everything you've done. Yeah. So yeah, because when I look at what I've done in my life, all the different things I've done, it's because of that resilience, strength of character, if you like, that martial arts gave me. It sort of made me go, I can do that.
Yeah, 100%. It's like with the resilience.
That's what you see. That's what we're selling as teachers.
It is. It really is, and I think that has to be the foundation of your school. The character development is like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that there is character development out there for schools.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about I think the pandemic got me thinking about it. So you got like, we had a structure as well where it's like January is this, February like confidence, March is like, I don't know, politeness, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's brilliant. It's the next excellent step. It's okay for somebody like you and I that can expand on that and then give life lessons based upon that's relevant for the target audience.
Yeah.
I was thinking like with the way that the character development should maybe develop is it should change depending on what's happening in the media, in people's lives and stuff, to be more relevant to them, which means that the parents and the students would get more from it.
Yeah.
So for argument's sake, with this, like the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Going on. I don't go into politics and all that kind of stuff with my students because martial arts and politics should not cross paths, I don't think.
Yeah.
But that would be an amazing opportunity to just use acceptance as a kind of thing to talk about that for a month. How's that?
I think that's a great idea because it is relevant. It is, rather than, as you say, you know, this month we're going to do this. You should reflect what's going on in society and teach the kids and the adults how to deal with these day-to-day things. Because the BLM thing, the Black Lives Matters thing, was a really important thing. And we were online at the time, and it was a meditation group actually, and we're all chatting about it. And you know, all being holier than thou, and yeah, this is important. People, every man should have a right to blah blah blah. And then Charles, who's from Newtown, black girl, West Indian, 21 years old, studying international law and politics, right? And she really worked hard. Only the first person in her family to ever go to university. So you can imagine being a black woman, the adversity she's had to face and the struggle she's had to go through because of where people are profiled in society. She said, yeah, she said, I find this fascinating, Bob, that, and she's got a Brummie accent, which I won't do. She's proper down to earth, like you'd love her straight away, right? And I've always liked Charles. And she goes, the thing is, Bob, you know, you lot are all sitting here talking about this. She goes, what about my opinion? And I said, well, it's an open forum, Charles, talk about it. She goes, no, I mean, as a black woman in the movement. And we went, she goes, have you thought about that? How black women feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? Because we're not represented. I don't feel represented as a black woman. And we have it even worse than the men because we get it from our men. And I was like, but it was like everybody went, there was like this silence online. There was like 18 of us, I think, that night. And I went, this is worth talking about. This is, you've just, and you know, when you think you know it all, you never know. You don't know anything. Yeah. And it was like, and we all, honestly, that's been going on now for a couple of weeks. People have been thinking about it because people have rang me up and said, you know, what Charles said is really true. I've never thought how black women feel within the movement. And a couple of black guys were saying the same thing. They were like, shit, man, I've been going on about Black Lives Matter and I've not even thought about the women's position in this whole thing.
True. So has it been considered?
So it was useful. And what you've just said is just reflected that. It's like, yeah, that makes far more sense to have January. We don't know what it's going to be. Let's see what's happening. Bang, that's what we're going to look at this month. You know, mental health, boom, suicide, oh, eating disorders, boom, you know, the climate, whatever happens to be the big issue of the month. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Well, because like what happened is it's a win-win because the parents would actually listen to what's being spoken about because it's relevant to their world. Because about people's worldviews, isn't it? If I'm talking about confidence, and then you've got a really confident mom and dad who think their kid is confident, and they're doing martial arts because it's a hobby, I don't give a shit about confidence.
Yeah.
If we talk about something that's relevant to everybody right now, regardless of who it is, they'll listen. And if it's relevant, then surely that's going to build more rounded black belts, instructors, whatever you want to call it, for the next generation that are learning things that are relevant for their time period. Because relevant for my time period when I was a kid is completely different to. Oh,
totally. Absolutely. So, completely different worlds.
It really is.
Yeah. And I mean, as you get older, you can fall into the habit of thinking that's the only world that exists. You know, like I could go back to, you know, what the martial arts was like when I was young and say, well, that's the right way to do. Well, there is no right way. If people are considered and there's compassion and you look after people, that's the key thing to make the whole thing move. So when people come to your class, you value them as human beings and allow them, sounds like a fancy title, but you allow them to flourish, don't you? To grow. And our job as instructors is to water them, is to make sure they're growing right. And direct them, you know, if they're going off at an angle, we steer them on, you know what I mean? We steer them towards a more positive mindset, if you like. I hate using the word positive. I hate that word. But you know what I mean? So that they achieve the outcomes that they want in life, whatever that is. That's the job of an instructor. Look, we're really getting into the meat of it now. And I know that, you know, you're involved in, you've mentioned business development and how you coach and mentor people, not just individuals in the classes and your instructors, but also other people, because you made reference to you coaching these guys. And that's an area I'd like to talk about. We've run out of time today, Rick, because believe it or not, that's over an hour, right? Now, and I'm not cutting you off because I genuinely do want to pursue this a bit further. Now, I know you do all of these coaching courses, and I want to talk about them in the next podcast. You'd be happy to do a second one?
100%, definitely.
I thought you would, because what you're saying is very pertinent and it's relevant. And we've just started warming up now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
You know what I mean? We have, haven't we? We've just warmed up. So what I'm going to do, I want to thank you for coming on today. And I really do want to pursue this further. So I'll close the podcast for now. I want to thank you for your insights and your knowledge and what you're doing, obviously, with the whole organization, your group of people. And I would just say to people, you know, if you want to take your kids to train in martial arts, take them to this man. Don't bring them to my club. Take them to Rick's. I love kids to bits. I do love teaching them. But if you want to work with being more rounded individual and develop as a human being and not just somebody who can hit people, go and see Rick. He's a good man. So thanks a lot, Rick. And I'll catch you soon, guys. All right, mate.